The fighting raging in Gaza overnight, despite calls for a ceasefire or even a humanitarian pause.
Yes, the world watching and reacting. In Washington, thousands of pro-Palestinian protesters filled the streets in the largest demonstration of its kind in the U.S. since Israel began its strikes on Gaza in response to the Hamas terrorist attack on October 7th.
And in a surprise visit, Secretary of State Blinken meeting with Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas in the Israeli-occupied West Bank, discussing the efforts to restore calm and stability to the area. And this morning, we are getting a close-up look at the Israeli Defense Forces in the war zone, the IDF taking our Ian Pannell into Gaza. Ian is now back in Tel Aviv, and that's where we begin right now. Ian, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Joe. This was a rare, short and quite intense opportunity to see what the situation is like in Gaza on the ground. We've been reporting from outside Gaza, although we're getting images from inside. Neither the Egyptian government nor the Israelis to date will allow foreign journalists in. But this was a chance to travel with the Israeli Defense Forces inside to see it for ourselves. Obviously, our view was limited. There are places that we couldn't go, and the Israeli Defense Forces checked our footage for operational security.
This morning, for the first time since this war began, we go into Gaza. Embedded with troops from Israel's 401st Armored Brigade for a few hours. The first time they've taken journalists into the war zone since it began.
Well, we're just on the Israeli side of the border with Gaza. We're together with a tank regiment. They've got tanks, they've got armoured personnel carriers, and they're going to take us basically down this track, which leads straight into Gaza. I asked the commander, what is the situation on the ground? His answer was very simply, nowhere is safe there.
The convoy starts to move. The doors of our heavily armoured vehicle lock tight, and a tense, high-risk journey begins. Lieutenant Colonel Ido Ben Anat is the deputy commander of the 401.
How tough has the fighting been?
It's tough. It's tough. They're trying to surprise us. They're trying to see where we're strong, where we're weak, and how they can take it as an advantage.
We were driven about 3 miles into the Gaza Strip towards the northern side of Gaza City. It's a scene of utter devastation. Building after building scarred and blackened by the bombardment. The crackle of gunfire and crump of tank fire ever present. The landscape is apocalyptic.
We're here in Gaza at the moment. We're here together with the Israeli Defense Forces. We're not allowed to say exactly where we are. You can see the tanks next to me. You can hear the sound of the tank fire. We're hearing gunfire. It still remains an incredibly active zone.
But this is what we weren't able to see. Israel's relentless assault on Gaza. The night sky turned orange from shelling. Buildings in flames at the Jabalia refugee camp hit by another airstrike. All hands on deck to rescue the survivors. It's been nearly a month into this war. More than 9,000 people have been killed in Gaza, according to the Hamas-run health ministry, and Israeli officials reporting over 1,400 deaths. Inside Gaza, the health system beyond capacity.
It is full of patients. No any vacant place to admit to inpatient department, as you see. Still, always, it is the same scene.
Medical staff are overwhelmed and facilities overrun. Doctors at Al-Shifa Hospital work by flashlight, without electricity or fuel to keep the lights on. The UN saying nearly half of hospitals in Gaza are no longer functioning. And the militant group Hamas releasing this video, they say shows fighting with Israeli forces in the northwest of Gaza, although ABC News can't confirm exactly when this was filmed. But the administration's calling for a humanitarian pause in the fighting to get aid into Gaza, to prevent more mass casualties, and to try to help get the roughly 240 hostages out.
Mr. President, any progress on a humanitarian pause? Yes.
Well, incredibly, despite the presence of Israeli troops on the ground, despite all the bombing and all the movements of land troops, Hamas is still able to try and launch rockets here into Israel. Late last night, as we were going into bed, we could hear the sound of multiple rockets being intercepted by Israel's Iron Dome system. But Israeli forces absolutely adamant that they've started a war that they're not going to stop until they achieve victory. Gio?
Ian, just unbelievable images and reporting there. And I wonder, looking at those images, what struck you the most about your journey into Gaza?
I mean, so they took 2 reporter groups in. One went about a mile or so, and we went a bit further, around 3 miles or so. But you realise that the level of destruction and how difficult it's been just to travel that short distance. And I've seen this before in previous conflicts, especially Mosul in Iraq against the Islamic State. It makes you realise how tough the battle is, how tough the terrain is. And even though every single building is smashed, you realise that Hamas still has the capability to move through tunnels underground and pop up behind Israeli forces. But we could see Gaza City from the outside, and you could see the heavy destruction there. But it makes you realise, and I spoke to the deputy commander there, I said, look, how long do you think this is going to go on for? And he said, well, put it this way, my daughter's birthday's in January, and hopefully I'll be back in time to share it with her. Wits?
An important perspective. Ian Pannell, our thanks to you and your team. We truly appreciate it.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.